Hi everyone, very good evening. Welcome back to the lecture number 7, Advanced Research Methodologies. In the previous class, we discussed about the research philosophies. We discussed 4 philosophies, the 4 key philosophies, and we discussed about the research paradigm in it, the basics of a research, because we established in that lecture that the outcome of your research, what you get to know at the end of the research, depends on the way you get to know those what you know. So we have to be very careful about the research methodology selection. If you select the wrong methodology, you may end up with the wrong outcome of it, so you won't be able to solve your problem. That is what we learned last week. And today I'm going to discuss 2 things. Number 1 is about the research approach. How do we approach a research, and the strategies that we have available to approach this way. Now, there are so many strategies. In fact, I'm not going to discuss each one, but I'm going to discuss the key ones. And if you want to learn further, there are so many reading references. You can read those, or you can contact me. Let me help you on that as well. So let's go to the tonight's topic. When I'm calling it research approach, there are 2 approaches that is approached by researchers. If you want to do your master's level, if you want to do your bachelor's level, and if you want to do your PhD level, there are different approaches you have to approach with. Now, when I'm calling it a research approach, depending on the problem, because master's research has a problem, a PhD research has a different problem, or different weight of the problem, different nature of problem. So we should approach them in different ways. So let me explain. There are 2 main approaches researchers are approached with. Let me explain those 2. The number 1 is called deduction or deductive approach. The literal meaning of deduction or deductive approach is about you already have a theory, you have already got something known about it, and this time what you do, you confirm whether is it yes or no, whether is it correct or wrong. That is what the deduction is about. Let me tell you some examples. The usual example we take is this: the exercise you do has some connection with the blood sugar. This is a theory. This is already existing theory. This is this theory has been there in the knowledge for so long. Now, your duty is, if somebody appears with some blood sugar, you have to do a test in that particular person and test, is it correct for his body? Is his exercise connected to his blood sugar? So you test it, right? So that is what it is. So there is knowledge already, and what you do, you confirm whether is it yes or no. So for a patient, if they come with this kind of problem, you simply have certain tests and confirm yes or no. Sometimes you confirm it yes, sometimes you confirm it no. Since we have theories already, we call these hypotheses, because when you get some patient in your consultation, in your clinic, you ask the reports, the complaints he has, and he says, my blood sugar is looking high to me, so I need to have a test. So you have a hypothesis immediately. This blood sugar is connected to his exercise he does, or his stress level he has, or his food consumption that he has. It is connected. So you already or immediately develop a hypothesis. Hypothesis can be developed if you have a theory in advance. Let's say now we have a hypothesis that one of these vaccines, there are 4 or 5 different vaccines we are vaccinating with today for this COVID. And one of these, if you take one of those vaccines, we have a knowledge that if you take this vaccine, you will never get positive to COVID. That is a theory. The theory says if you take this, you will never get the corona again. You will never get infected. That's a theory. Now, if you want to find this theory out, if you want to make sure this theory out, what you do, you take a personnel or a few personnels, you inject this vaccine and see if he's getting infected by this COVID again. So you are testing it. If they don't get the infection again, your theory is correct. If they get the infection, then your theory is tested other way around, meaning your theory is rejected, right? So all these vaccine developing companies, they say, if you take this first dose, second dose, then you are fully immune against this and you will never get the infection. That's a theory. So this is a new theory, by the way, and we are testing it now in Sri Lanka. We are taking vaccines. Everyone is taking it with some enthusiasm. So we have to wait and see the result of it, whether the theory is yes or no. So the idea is, if you have some theory already, testing that theory, whether is it yes or no, is what I'm calling deduction. Okay, let me take some more examples to understand the scenario. If your employees are leaving, there's a theory. If your reward is not enough, if your reward is not compensating enough, they may leave. There's a theory. Now, you may have to test this theory, whether my employees are leaving because of this. Whether my employees are leaving because of this, you have to test it, right? So is it because of this reward my employees are leaving? That is what we have to test. Okay, so if you have a problem in your family, let's say your son was troubling you yesterday for a reason, and today he's troubling again, and you have a theory already that your son could trouble you for a reason, yesterday's reason. Let's say he wanted to go out, you didn't take him out, then he troubled you yesterday, and today he's troubling you again. There's a theory, if you don't take your son out, he could trouble you. Now you test it today. Is it because of that? I didn't take him today out either. So is it because of that he's troubling me today? And you test it. Maybe it is not because of that. It's because you didn't give him the computer to play. So your theory of yesterday is not compatible for this context today. So you reject it and you develop a new theory. And today's new theory is, if you don't give the computer to play, and your son can trouble you as well. So there are two theories about your son, yesterday one, today one, and you would develop a new theory tomorrow also, right? So now, if you have previous theories, if you know things previously in the past, you can test, is it, or is that because this problem is, this is what the deduction is about. So let me use this example. Let me use this diagram to explain what I mean here. You already have a theory, right? You already have a theory. So this approach is appropriate if you know something before about your problem. If you have some knowledge about your problem in advance, then you approach this way. Now, the COVID came in 2020, I think 2019 December or January 2020 January. Before that, no doctors, no university knew about this. So if you want to approach to study this COVID, the infection of it, the impact of it, the symptoms of it, the curing, whatever it is not possible to study in a deductive approach, because we don't know anything. We didn't know anything. We know nothing about it. So the deduction is not going to find you a vaccine for it. So we have to approach in a different way, because there's no theory. So you don't approach from a theory. In that case, we'll learn that later. How do we approach that? Now, if you know it, now at the moment, we know something about COVID, we know something about this vaccine, we know something what's going on this one. So based on that, we can approach this from the theory to make sure, is it yes? That is what I took the example. We have a theory that there's AstraZeneca vaccine, or Pfizer, or maybe the Sinopharm, whatever the vaccines we have. If it is, the theory says that if you take these both doses, you would be okay. And then we can test it. We give that all Sri Lankans, all Indians, and all the people, and take the result later in 1 or 2 years' time, or 1 or 2 months' time, and see what's going on. Based on that, we can test this theory, whether is it yes or no, right? So if you find it out, yes, the theory is correct, then you are accepting that theory. If not, you are rejecting it. Simple. So you approach from the theory if you know it. And if you know it, what you do, the next thing you do is the observation. In other words, I would say we do a research on that, right? To do this research, what I'm calling the strategies. You can do an experiment, you can do a survey, you can do some case studies, And there are so many other methods. Let me discuss all these 3 tonight, and that is enough, because these are the key strategies we use.
Screen out.
Okay, so you can't see the screen now?
No, I can't see.
Okay,